The diagnosis came on a Wednesday. Pancreatic. Stage 3. The kind of news that rearranges everything. Not just for Gerald, but for everyone who loved him, because Gerald was the kind of person whose absence would leave a shape in the air. I drove to see him that weekend. He looked smaller than I remembered. Hospital rooms do that. Compress people, flatten them against white sheets and fluorescent light. But his eyes were the same. Sharp. Seeing. We talked for an hour about everything except what mattered. His garden. My kids. A basketball game he'd watched the previous Tuesday. Then, near the end, he looked at me and said, "You stopped writing." Not a question. "Yeah," I said. "When?" "Long time ago." He nodded slowly. The way people nod when they've known something for years and have been waiting for you to catch up. "You were the best I ever saw," he said. "And I saw a lot." I didn't say anything. "It's not too late," he said. "That's what I need you to hear. Whatever you think, it's not too late." I drove home and sat in my car in the driveway for 40 minutes. Then I went inside and found the drawer. The manuscript was still there. 412 pages. 11 years in a drawer. I picked it up and I could feel the weight of it, not just paper weight, the other kind. The weight of the person I had been when I wrote it. 22 years old and certain, with the terrifying certainty of the young, that the thing I had to say was worth saying. I read it that night. All of it. In the kitchen, after everyone was asleep, under the single light above the stove. It was imperfect. Ambitious in ways that didn't always land. Reaching for things it didn't quite grasp. It was also alive. In a way that nothing I had written, nothing I had done in 11 years had been. I closed it at 4 in the morning and sat very still. Then I opened my laptop. What came next wasn't a movie moment. I want to be honest about that. I didn't write brilliantly. I didn't feel transformed. I wrote badly, slowly, awkwardly, like a person using a muscle that had been still for 11 years, which is exactly what I was. Some nights I wrote 3 sentences. Some nights I deleted everything and started again. Some nights I sat in front of the screen for an hour and produced nothing and went to bed feeling the specific failure of someone who has only themselves to blame. But I came back the next night, and the night after, because Gerald was still in that hospital, getting smaller against white sheets, and the thing he had given me, the belief held across 11 years without wavering, was not something I was going to let die in a kitchen drawer. Gerald died on a March morning, 8 months after the diagnosis. By then I had 90 pages. New pages. Better than anything in that drawer. Not because I was better, though I was, but because I was honest in a way I hadn't been at 22. I knew more about loss now. About compromise and regret and the specific texture of a life half-lived. That knowledge was in every sentence. I read him the first chapter 2 weeks before he died. He listened with his eyes closed. When I finished, he said, "There it is. Just that. There it is. I'm 37 now. The book is finished." It took 2 years from that night in the kitchen. It's been rejected 11 times and I have sent it out again this morning, which is what you do, you send it out again. I wake at 5 every morning before my family is up and I write for 90 minutes and then I go to work and then I come home and I'm a father and a husband and an account manager and all those things are real and they matter. But in the early morning, in the quiet, I am also the person Gerald Pitts believed in. 37 years old. Starting. Late, yes. But I have learned, in the hardest way, that late is not the same as never. And that the version of yourself you buried doesn't die. It waits. Patient as anything, waiting for you to remember where you left it, and go back.